Welcome back to the Life of Phys Podcast. I'm your host, Tyson Martin. Today I'm joined by JuanCarlos Gonzalez, a Puerto Rican photojournalist and visual storyteller based in Plymouth, Vermont. JuanCarlos creates emotionally resonant imagery rooted in authenticity, human connection, and a deep sense of place. Working across portraiture, events, and landscape, his photographs bridge cultures, celebrate resilience, and honor the quiet power of everyday life. In 2025, his work was recognized internationally when he was named one of Leica's 100 photographers. Raised in a coastal town of Puerto Rico, JuanCarlos was first inspired by the images he saw in newspapers and magazines, sparking a lifelong curiosity to explore and document the world through photography. That same sense of wonder continues to guide his work today. His photography has been featured in Leica Photography International, Vogue Italia, the Boston Globe, National Geographic, and across institutions and publications throughout the United States and beyond. In 2023, JuanCarlos launched Vermont Female Farmers, a landmark portrait and documentary project highlighting 45 women shaping the future of agriculture in Vermont. In 2023, JuanCarlos launched Vermont Female Farmers, a landmark portrait and documentary project highlighting 45 women shaping the future of agriculture in Vermont. The project has toured nationally as a solo exhibition and was published as a companion book now held in the permanent collection of the Library of Congress. The exhibition has been presented at institutions including the Fleming Museum of Art, Billings Farm and Museum, Bennington Museum, the Vermont State House, and the Leica Gallery, Boston, with additional solo exhibitions continuing into 2026. Beyond his personal practice, JuanCarlos served for 6 years as Director of Arts Programming for IBA Boston, New England's largest Latinx nonprofit, where he led community-driven arts and cultural initiatives. This conversation explores storytelling, identity, community, and the responsibility of documenting real lives with care and intention. Now let's get to the show.
Again, thanks again. My name is JuanCarlos Gonzalez. I'm original from Maunabo, Puerto Rico, born and raised in the island until I was 19. Always had a passion for photography. We grew up in the project, so we didn't have the resources to buy cameras. Disposable cameras were our tool. So, the newspaper, my grandmother would collect the newspaper, and every Sunday I will go to the arts and culture section, and I will cut pieces of, someone traveling, some of the photographers from the area that will travel and document it, and talk stories. And I will cut them and I put it in the back of my door in our bedroom. And for the longest time, I just had hundreds and hundreds of images. So I always had like that vision of like, oh, one day I'll get to either document for this newspaper, or I get to travel to these places and do an assignment for them as well. So fast forward maybe 3-4 years ago, that newspaper in Puerto Rico is called El Nuevo Dia. Hired me to do some photography in Boston while the Puerto Rican parade was taking place. So it was a full circle. So it was a great, holy shit, this is really happening. I am working as a freelancer for the paper that I always look up to and always dreamt of having my work published on. So it was a great 360, I will say.
Yeah, you created a full circle. You put that out there, and that's what I always try to tell my own children is like, if you want something and you have this vision and this dream, we have to put it out in the world.
100%.
And then the world will respond when the time is right. And that's what happened with you, man. Like, that's congratulations with that. That's like you have this childhood dream and you're out there doing the work that you want to do. And then they come back to you and they're like, hey, can you work with us for this? Yes.
Yeah, no, it is. I'm still and it's funny, when I did a project, actually, I'll tell more later on, but, so grew up in Puerto Rico, until I was 19, I went to school, for engineering, moved to the States for an internship to work, at a company that I did not enjoy, and then went back to school, focused in science, worked in the pharmaceutical industry for 14, 13 years, traveled the world, always had a camera with me, and I was doing compliance and auditing for pharmaceuticals, and all over the world, I'll have my camera hanging around my neck doing the audit, and whether or not the client passed the audit or we qualify or disqualify them, I will include a little PDF picture of their site, something that caught my eye. And sometimes it was fascinating. And this is the part that always photography and the visual aspect of it kind of shift things on some of these meetings, was that I will submit that report, and sometimes it was a negative feedback. And at the end, they will say, "Thank you for the feedback. Really appreciate it. Any chance we can buy that picture from you?" I'm like, "Yes, 100%. Yes, you can buy it." So like always had that curiosity. And then in 2018, I was my nephew was doing a Peace Corps program in Madagascar. And National Geographic had they had a link, not a link. It was just part of their website where they will do like assignments, submissions. So there was one about preserving Mother Nature, and I captured this gecko and these birds that sort of blend in with. So the gecko, first of all, like they are crazy how they blend in with nature, unbelievably. So they were cutting some trees, and this gecko was hiding. I capture it. I have it in my house printed. Like I think it's like 8 feet by 5 feet. Is gigantic. And this gecko was like 4 feet, but it was. I remember capturing that picture, submitting it. Got published there. And at 2 in the morning or 3 in the morning, I woke up my husband. I'm like, "Dude, you won't believe this." And he's like, "It's 3 in the morning." I'm like, "But wait, my picture, my picture." So that like sort of was a reassurance of, okay, I guess that this work is being seen. And then I went on a trip with an amazing photographer, Raul, who he's a National Geographic photographer, incredible photographer for Day of the Dead in Oaxaca, Mexico. And that just took my photography to a whole nother level, like the whole capturing the cultural events. And if have you seen like Day of the Dead in Mexico?
Not personally, but I do know what we're talking about. I've seen images and things from there.
It's unbelievable. I think that is like, in Puerto Rico, we don't celebrate, like growing up, we didn't celebrate Day of the Dead. And it was just mind blowing, and the beauty, the richness, like it was such a rich, and it gave me a whole different perspective of the culture of Mexico. And I just felt immediately connected to it. So kept going with the photography. And then when I left the pharmaceutical industry, kept focusing on the art aspect of it. I became a board member for Boston Center for the Arts. I work with the Museum of Fine Arts as well in Boston. And then I had a meeting with an executive director of our organization in Boston, and it was intended to be a coffee meeting, and then it turns out to be an interview to run their art program, to be their art director. Actually, I take it back. It was a meeting to talk about showcasing my photography because of my travel. And it was like very casual coffee, let's talk about this, how we can do it. And then it turns out for me to interviewing for the director of our programming for them. So I did that job for 6 years until like early on this year that I decided that I needed to focus on my photography if I wanted to fully embrace the beauty of being a business owner and photographing. So it's been amazing. Then I came up with my grandmother. She used to have a farm in the mountains of Maunabo. It's called La Pica, the little sector of or barrio of the town. And every weekend we will go there and spend the weekend at her farm while my mom was looking to get her education as a nurse. And people used to go to her farm and ask, like, "Hey, who's the guy that owned the farm, or who's the guy that run the farm?" And I tell you, like, my grandmother, my aunts, they're just tough cookies, tough cookies. Were to the point that people was, and I could see it, and I remember so vividly that she will answer them and say, "I'm the guy that run the farm. What's up?" And that stuck with me. And that was actually the inspiration for my project. When we moved to Vermont, my husband and I were having dinner at a farm to table restaurant here, and we hear the table next to us asking the staff, like, who's the guy that you get the veggies from, or who's the guy that you get the meats from? And that was just like, holy shit, this is deja vu. Like,
Yep.
what is happening? And I just told my husband, I said, what if I do this project, Vermont female farmers, and just focusing on amplifying the agriculture industry, but highlighting the woman aspect of it.
How
He loved
cool
the
is
idea.
that?
Yeah, it was really cool moment. Like, I think that that's like the beauty of the artistic part, right? Like that your mind just go with it. Um, I have two great mentors that they're both powerful women, Barbara and Anne, and my sister, Damaris, who I said presented this project. I said, hey, so this is what I have, but this is what I want to do. So I present them like what I was going to do. And literally, like they talk to each other like randomly, like when they see each other on like events and things like that. But the three of them said, "Fuck yeah!" Sorry, I don't know
No, that's
if I'm
fine.
allowed
For
to.
sure. It's a cool thing though. Like, so I had an employee who she was from Puerto Rico,
Nice.
and we became really good friends. And she would tell me about her mom and her grandma, those stories about strength,
Yeah. Oh
resilience,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
fuck around and find out kind of mentality.
Oh yeah.
And I loved it. I loved hearing that passion, and you're sharing the same passion. You're like, nah, man, my grandma was tough as nails. She was going to tell everybody, like, this is mine. I'm doing this.
Yeah.
You may not believe me, but I'm doing this, and I'm
Yeah.
showing my grandchildren strength, determination, and focus. And now
Absolutely.
you're doing a project that is geared and dedicated to your grandma on that's a whole different level from what I've read about the project, and like just seeing the images. Now it's even deeper. So now it's connected with me deeper. So that's such a cool part of this story.
Thank you. Thank you. No, it was it's one of those things, when you're doing something, I feel like photography is like one of those things that you do, and every time you take a picture, and I don't know for you, but like I feel like every time I hear that click on the camera, there's just like, like it still gives me goosebumps, like even talking about it. Like even as you capture an image, there's nothing that I still cannot like explain the feeling that you have when you hear that click. It's like, holy shit, this is it.
I get it. Like I still like people are like, oh, well, is it even fun anymore? And I'm like, well, I took this landscape photo 2 weeks ago, and as soon as I clicked the shutter, I jumped for joy. I was yelling, holy shit, I nailed it. And
Yeah,
there's nobody with
yeah,
me. I'm by myself acting like this crazy person. But that's the connection I have. I was looking for
yeah,
that creative, I was looking for a creative replacement because I was a skateboarder my whole life. And after my ninth broken ankle, and I'm getting older, I'm in my mid 30s, I just can't do it anymore. And then it was like, okay, well, I'm going to be a full-time single dad for 10 years. So that puts me into my 40s. And then my kids are getting older and they don't need dad around as much. And I'm just searching for something. And when I found the camera and I clicked the shutter for the first time while I was chasing long exposure water, trying to figure out how to do it, and I clicked that shutter and I was like, oh, okay, I get it. And now, like, it's like my camera is like a security blanket. It's a therapist. It's like one of those things that has to be with me every single day. We can go to the grocery store and I have my camera in my bag. And it's just, it has to be there because you never know. You never know when that moment or that image is just going to pop in front of you and you have to stop and capture it.
yeah. No, absolutely. I totally can relate. So it is such a good feeling. Um, but yeah, when I was like documenting the project and I presented to everyone, the reaction was very positive. It started with thinking I'm doing. I said, I'm just gonna select 10 farmers and follow them throughout the year, just documenting the whole process. But then as I was reading and digging into the whole agriculture industry in Vermont, which is huge, it turns out the Vermont farms. There's a recent census that 41% of the farms are woman owned in Vermont, which is a huge number, and people are not
Wow.
talking about it. I'm like, this
Yeah.
is insane. Like, it's unbelievable. So every time that I would go to a farmer, like for example, when I started, the first farmer was Emily Von Trapp. It was during the winter. We were documenting the farm and everything, and there was some other employees, our team workers there, and it was Emily and Rose, and they were both working during this winter time at the Von Trapp farm. And she was asking why I was there. They were asking why I was there, and I said, "Well, I'm documenting Emily for this project." And then Emily come on and say like, "Oh, they're farmers too. Like, you should include them in the project." So it started with only 10, and it turns out being 46 farmers. So
Wow.
the show is huge. It's a beautiful show. It's been almost 3 years since it hit the road, and it's been nonstop. It's been through a number of museum. Like actually King Arthur Baking Company was the first exhibit that they had. Their headquarters is here in Vermont, so they hosted a Billings Farm Museum. They saw the show for the first time, and it was the kickoff of the tour. Then it went to the Henry Sheldon Museum. It's there right now, actually. It went to the Fleming Museum, the Bennington Museum, the State House of Vermont, and then Leica Gallery. Belle, she reached out, and her grandmother actually was a farmer here in Vermont, and she's like, "There's so much connection in this project. Like, there's photography. You use Leica. You are touching everything around my life, and I want this show at the gallery," which made me the first Puerto Rican to have the first solo show at the Leica Gallery in Boston. So it was a milestone project, so to speak, and it's been amazing. And then again, the same newspaper in Puerto Rico did a huge article about it on the paper, and even my family. Like, I knew that the article was coming out, but I didn't know that it was going to be in the front page of the
Oh,
paper. So
wow.
my family were like, "Wait, what's happening?"
Well,
So
congratulations on all that success.
thank you.
I also read that it's now preserved as part of the national heritage. Like, your work is in the Library of Congress.
Yeah, it is crazy. I still
That
can't
is
believe. Like, yeah,
unbelievable, and you should be so
thank
proud of
you,
that, my friend. Um,
thank you.
how long did this project take for you to get to a point where you were like, okay, I'm ready to show this?
So it was 2.5 year project. It was a long journey. Mainly because of the pandemic. It was done during the pandemic, um, and it was one of those projects that I just felt like I didn't want it to end. It was just like I could do this for the rest of my life, and I'm intending to do that. um, but it was 2.5 years, from beginning to end, until I say, okay, this has to be the last farmer, because I just kept adding and adding and adding. And if I wanted to maintain my marriage and my retirement at some point, I'm like, I need to stop, because you learn really fast the hard way how expensive it is to print and frame things the right way
Yeah.
if you want to do it right. There's many avenues, but I had a vision for this project. I wanted this project to be seen as an art collection to a museum level, and I went, like we say in Puerto Rico, all out. We went all out, and it was just well worth it. And I feel like even like every time that it's shown at a different museum or gallery, when the farmers come to see it, some of them are just cries. It's just so beautiful. And then hearing some of their stories of like, oh my God, I got someone buying honey from Puerto Rico. I have someone ordering some of my products from California. So it's like it's doing everything that was intended to do. And like you mentioned, the being part of the Library of Congress, it will forever be in that library, and people will be able to hear and learn and read about all these farmers, because there's just so much behind just that pretty farm stand or beautiful farm. There's just so much behind that people don't know until they start reading about them.
I think a lot of people don't know how huge of a thing that is. how
Yeah.
huge it is to have your work preserved for the rest of eternity by
Yeah.
the
It is
U.S.
crazy.
You know, I was talking to Phil Penman when he was on, and he's got his 9/11 images preserved. And
Yeah.
it must just blow your mind sometimes to think, you know, you think back to being a kid. Like, I grew up in a small town in Oregon, you know, selling Christmas trees and picking radishes, you know, doing the kid stuff, riding dirt bikes to school, like, you know, small town vibe stuff. And a lot of people in that town, there wasn't much to look forward to, at least when I
Mhm.
was there. It's definitely way bigger now. But I always had these dreams. I didn't want to be a football player. I didn't want to be a baseball player. I didn't want to be the things my dad wanted me to be. I wanted to be a skateboarder. I wanted to express my art through my tricks that I did and how I flowed on the board. And that's where the camera took over. The camera took that over in the last, it's been 6 years now that I've been shooting. So it's taken me to so many different places. And it took me to starting this show. This show has taken me to levels I never ever would have even imagined. Meeting people that, you know, 99% of the people that have been on the show are now what I consider close friends. We chat all the time. We cheer each other on. We ask questions. We give each other advice and help. And that's really what I did. Is I want to build a community of people who love what they do enough,
Mhm.
and they're proud enough in what they do that they want to share vision and wisdom to help others miss those steps that can really hold you in the middle ground. You know, if you've got the drive, the passion, and the talent, you can do it. But it's the business part. It's the stuff you
Mhm.
don't see that takes you to the next level.
Oh, 100%. It's so fascinating. Like I think the photography, and the business, like you said, like the business aspect of it, because you are your own HR person. You are your own customer service. You are your own. Even though that I have my husband, I call him my board member, my chief executive finance officer. um, so like he's super supportive. Like, and he's in finance and he's in a completely different field, but he also have that passion for the arts. He loved the arts, but he's also very grounded on like, yeah, take a step back, think about it before you go full on. But when he saw this vision of this project, he just like, I love it. I think this is such a good idea. I looked and searched, and I didn't see anything like it, and he loved it too. So this is just like one of those things. Like, okay, so now I need to execute this, and that's when I was saying that this is the most organized I've ever been. Like Excel sheets, like even like sending the images to print to our friends in Boston. Eric, who is an incredible in their team, um, printing, and they're just unbelievable. The attention to detail was just mind blowing. I send them an Excel sheet with all the names, all the farmers, the size, the links for each image, and the response was like, "Wow, this is pretty neat."
Well, you did a book as well, correct?
Yes, yes. So the book is the reason for the book was mainly because of the aspect of having to meet all these farmers. There's so much information that you can. There's very limited information that you can put in every label next to every image at a gallery or a museum. But every time that I meet a farmer, I'll ask them. You know, some of them were straight out like, what do you need from me? I'm like, I just need 30 minutes. 30 minutes. So just give me 30 minutes and I'll come in. I'll take a couple of pictures and I'm out of your way. I know you're busy, so they're like, okay, come in. So 30 minutes will turn into like 3, 4 hours, half a day. It was unbelievable. But during that time, I will just take notes and write everything. And so one of the things that I did about the project, I'll send them a little questionnaire of your name of the farm, location. Is this a continuation or a first generation? Is this your main source of income? Um, and why do you farm? When I put that why do you farm, the amount of information, like there are pages of like some like Susu Farm, for example, they are just unbelievable Susu Community Farm. They're unbelievable. They just wrote such a beautiful and incredible story about why they farm and why they believe in farming. And then I just felt like there's so much information that I can't leave behind. So that's when the book was born. And I'm like, like Tammy had an incredible story behind her as well that I'm like, I can't leave this behind. So that's where the book was born. Self-publishing, I learned the hard way because you start with, I'm just gonna do this book and it's gonna be easy. So, I'm making zero money on the book. It's literally like what it costs for people to print and to be shipped is what it costs to be made and everything. But it's doing exactly what I wanted. Like get those stories out, people read about it, and why I believe that it's important to support your farmer, your local farmer, and so forth. I then, when I was creating the book, I was thinking, who will be that person that I can ask to write the foreword of it? And immediately our Congresswoman, Becca Ballen, who is part of the LGBT community, her family used to have a farm in my town here in Vermont. And I'm like, this is it. She's such a strong and advocate for the farming industry. She's from Vermont. I think that this is the right person. So I'm like, I was telling my husband, it's like, so I think I'm going to ask Becca to like write the foreword. And he's like, well, she's really busy and she's in Congress. So like, good luck getting her. And I sent her an email and within like 4 days, she replied. It's like, oh, absolutely. So she wrote this unbelievable couple of pages forward. And it was very, very flattering that she said yes and that she wrote this beautiful foreword. So that's the book, and it's incredible. Like, and I was able to add, one of the things that I did with the project was that in the moment, the exhibit, the way that I selected, so it's in black and white and in color. And what I did with the actual exhibit was just focusing on what that moment was. If it felt like a colorful day, or if it felt like this is pretty straightforward, black and white, this is what you get, what you see. And what you said was that how you say it? what you get.
What you get is what you see.
Exactly. But then in the book, I was able to include vice versa. Like if it was in black and white on the exhibit, in the book you'll see it in color. So people get a sense of like what the space looks like, what the moment was. And then I added some landscape images of their farm and their animals. So it's a beautiful, and I mean, not because I created it. It's just such a beautiful, and I look at it, I have it in my coffee table myself, and I'm constantly like, wow, this is crazy. Like, this is like, is out there.
You should be extremely proud of yourself. What you're doing is such an important history. It's important to the people that became a part of it. And that's what I loved about learning through this show in the same way was when I started, I didn't know anybody. I just started throwing emails out and I had this vision. Awesome. And it took like, I think it was episode 4 where I was talking to a guy based in Calgary, Alberta here. And I said, we just had a great conversation. He switched it into like his struggles through cancer, his thoughts of suicide, what brought him back to remembering how much he loved creating and he had so much left to give, and like how it kind of saved him. And that's when it clicked. I'm like, okay, I no longer care about the gear people use. I want to hear the story and the journey. And like, I think what you did with this project's fantastic. I've been trying to prepare myself for our interview, and but hearing it from your own mind and voice, the connection it had to your grandma and how proud everybody is about the work they're doing, and they give you these long written answers. This is an amazing project, and I hope you continue it, and I hope you start looking in the states that surround Vermont and just keep bringing it in, because you know what? They deserve to be brought to the forefront.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, I think that one of the things that I learned immediately when I was doing the project, and it is fascinating. Obviously, like the art aspect of it, and you still have to work in the background. Like I do a lot of food photography, which is that within itself is just a whole nother monster, and I love it because I've met some incredible chefs and some incredible team members within those organizations, and I really, really enjoy that food photography aspect of it, which is bizarre. Like it is just bizarre with just thinking of it. But the whole Vermont female farmers, and like I went ahead and I bought all kinds of, you name it, domain. I've bought them thinking of, like you were saying, like there's so many stories. Just a couple of things that I would love to do is just do like those surrounding states of Vermont, like Maine, New Hampshire, New York, Massachusetts, and potentially do that, hopefully with the right finance backup. That will be really, really helpful. But also, since I'm from Puerto Rico, I think that my next big project is just focusing on Puerto Rico female farmers.
Nice.
And the impact that global warming had in Puerto Rico, given that Puerto Rico is in the path of every hurricane that comes out of the coast of Africa every year. It's just devastating, and we've seen it, what just happened to Jamaica recently, right? So it's just like constantly they rebuild and then they get hit again. So, and it's just getting worse. So I think that doing that will bring a whole nother level of connection to my homeland, a connection to the farm industry in Puerto Rico, which I'm super, super, super excited. And hopefully this 2026 will give me that whole green light to run with it. So I'm excited about that.
Nice. It gives me so I have a project that I'm starting in January in connection with Harlow Lighting.
Nice.
Originally I've been an ambassador now. I think I'm on my third contract with them. Nice. Originally I was going to continue the project that Sean Bruce is doing currently, where it's the street portrait project. Just, hey, I'm set up here, come take photos. And then Kieran and I had this talk, and she's like, no, you got to do something different. And I said, okay, well, let me think about it. And then all of a sudden it was like, what if I capture the photographer? What if I make the photographer this focus of my portrait? So similar to what he's doing, but I'm capturing the person behind the camera, the one that never gets seen, the one that's doing the work. But then I let them take the light, the Harlow Soul that we're going to be using, and capture a creative themselves. And then when I lay it out in the book, there's my image of them, and the next page is their image of the creator. So it shows the continuation of the cycle. And I want to do this all over North America.
That'd be so cool.
So just start like every state, every province in Canada, just start like connecting with creatives and be like, hey, do you want to be a part of this project? Because I'm coming through on this date.
That's so cool.
So that's really cool. It's exciting because like what you're doing with your book and like these things is I want to preserve the creatives. I want to give the photographers the history, especially I do a lot with action sports photographers, and they don't usually get in front of the camera. So a lot of people don't know who they are. And so now I'm going to flip it, and they're going to be in front of me. And then we're going to just continue, just go and see how many we can do. I'm going to film it all for mini YouTube documentary series. And just like each stop is going to be a part. So it'll be like, I'm going to do Vancouver, where I am. And I'll be like, okay, boom, part 1. And then I'll work up the Sea to Sky, Squamish, Whistler, Pemberton, and kind of work my way around British Columbia, and then then it's Alberta and Manitoba, and then back home down into Oregon, and then around. And just trying to capture, I don't know, there's so many people deserve to be seen, heard, and remembered. You know what I mean?
100%. 100%.
So
yeah, absolutely.
That's the project that's in the works, and I understand the financial part because I'm trying to find a financial backer to help me with this because it's going to be pricey.
Oh, tell me about it.
But I've also added your book to my list of must-haves. So when I'm allowed to buy a book a month, I can't do any more than that.
Yeah, just tell me about it. I want to buy my own book. Trust me. It's like, whoa, wait a minute. And so that's it is sad in one way, that the fact that it's just so expensive to self-publish. I wish that there was some way to do it that doesn't cost. I mean, but also like without taking away from the art of creating a book and the printing of it behind it, because there's a lot of work. There's a lot of components that come together, and I respect the whole aspect of it. I mean, what it breaks me sometimes is that, there are people that want to buy it, and it's just so expensive that like I just can't afford $150 or 100 whatever it is to buy the book. And I'm like, I know, like I wish I could lower the price, but it's like if I lower it, like you won't be able to like to print, to produce, or anything. It's literally like this is what it costs to get in. But it's a hard industry to kind of crack in. I mean, I was looking at potentially like the art council, the Vermont Art Council. I applied for a grant for like it was like $2,000, like, and they gave it to me for like, that was like at the beginning of the project. So that helped a little bit with, that initial bulk of books that I could buy for the opening night. So like, there's a bunch of organizations that give grants. Some of them are just very limited to it. For like the Puerto Rico female farmers and impact due to global warming, I'm looking at bigger organizations that they can say, okay, I can back your project up and see how we can get this whole project fully financed and backed up. So hopefully that.
Have you thought about approaching Patagonia?
So we talked briefly early on in the project, but the person that I talked to, his response, what was his response? I remember that it was like, oh, okay, great, thanks. I will have to look at the email, but it was just along the lines of, thanks, but we are not, it's not aligning with our vision at the moment. And I'll say, okay, I'll leave it at that. So I tried. That didn't work out, unfortunately. But if there's anyone out there.
Well, I just see that now that it's established and, you have created this amazing body of work, that they can maybe see exactly what it is. And they're such a willing, I had John Bilderbeck on, who's a surf photographer who did this amazing journey in a classic boat around the world, leaving from Hawaii. And he was telling me about how he reached out to Patagonia and just asked for a tiny bit of money, and they finally saw the vision. And once they saw the vision, they were 100% behind it. They took care of all the printing. They took care of logistics. They took care of everything needed. So I actually have him coming back on to finish his interview right after you. So I'm going to ask who to contact there, and I'm going to send you the name.
No, that'd be great. My God, that would be a huge thing. And like, even when I start talking to the person, I say, hey, I'm not looking for money. Like, you don't pay me. Like, if you could like help in the back end, whether, it is expensive to farm, like the farmers are not making a shitload of money on this. Provide them with some gear, like give them some of your gear, some of those like jumpsuit for them to work on it, especially in the winter that is just so cold and brutal. Give them gloves, give them hats, whatever. Like, yeah. I just need, like, if you're gonna back up the project, like I just need some level of support for the farmers.
I can see the Puerto Rico one, like this next vision, because of the connection to your life and your grandma, is going to, you have a whole different avenue to approach potential financial backers, because it's a person, it's even more personal, right? You have that history personal, with it, and you're going back to where you're from, and you're doing this. I see there's somebody out there to help you with this project and get you moving through it, so you don't have to, take the burden of all the financial expense, because it's such an important message, and it shows. I've really taken a focus this year to try to put as many female creatives on my show as possible, to give them the same platform, because a lot of them fight tooth and nail for the same job that's handed to their male counterpart.
Absolutely.
And so many of them are so bloody talented, and they're so smart. And I have 3 daughters, and all I want my daughters to see is other women being successful and pushing boundaries so they can continue to push boundaries, because as a dad, that's all I could ever ask for.
That's awesome.
So yeah, I've got a ton of really, really amazing creatives that are coming on and that do amazing work and are hopefully going to inspire the next generation, just like these farmers are inspiring their children, their relatives, to continue what they've started. Like, the circle is amazing. So I commend you on it, man. I never would have even thought of that project. It wouldn't even have gone over, but the way you've done it, the way you've captured it, I'm so impressed by it, and I can't wait to add that book to my collection.
Thank you. No, it's fascinating every time that the show goes to a different museum. And even like when I say those words, right, that is at a museum, it's like, to me, it's mind blowing. But also like seeing the images hanging on their wall, they are so powerful and they're just so beautiful. Like, and like when you look at some of these women's hands, they're just so like, holy shoot, like you've done so much work to put food in your family's table, put food on everyone in this state, that they call in Vermont the brave little state. They do so much, and there's so many of them doing so much work out there. Like one thing that I did, so I created the website also, VermontFemaleFarmers.com, so people can go in, read about the project, read about my background a little bit, and then there's a tab for the farmers, and there is every farmer that is in the project. There is their website, how can people contact them, social media, and how you can support them. And that's like, it's been great avenue, because you could see like every time that I see the analytics, people go into like the website, see the little intro video, and then go to the farmer's part. And it's just like so cool just to see that's like, that he's doing everything that it was intended to do. So.
And I'll continue that. I will add that link. Make sure that link is in your show notes for the story, for the episode. And anything that you have coming up and you just, you're releasing or a new place, let me know and I'll mention it in the show.
Yeah, no, totally. So since we're talking real quick, so I think the next thing that I will focus on is in the Puerto Rico female farmers and the impact of global warming. I'm also doing some other works. Like there's a gallery in Stowe, Vermont. It's called the Bryant Memorial Gallery. They right now I have a show there. I think it's like 6 pieces. It's called the Vermont Seasons. Vermont is one of those, when you think of the Northeast, it's just such a beautiful. You have the winter, you have the spring, and we call it mud season. Then we have the summer. There's a lot of farming happening in the summer. Then you have the fall. That foliage is just insane. And then back to the skiing aspect of the winter part. So there's a beautiful set of images there. And then in the fall of 2026, I'll go back to that gallery with a new show just focusing on the Northeast and Vermont. I'm still trying to finalize the final theme. I have some really cool ideas. So that's in the works as well, in addition to Puerto Rico female farmers. You mentioned the Hobo Lights. I just learned that I'll be part of their ambassador program as well. So that's super.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm super excited. Can't wait to share that news in the new year. What else? I'll be giving a Leica Academy class on putting together a project from start to hanging in the wall. That is in January, at the end of January of 2026. That's at the Leica Gallery and Store in Boston. So I'm super excited about that. I think that I wish, and I tell everyone that that is looking to get into photography or to start photography to always ask. And because I wish I had someone that was already in the industry to give me feedback or give me some advice, on what to do. I mean, I wasn't looking for anything to make things easier, but I think that if someone, like, I think Phil, you talk about Phil early on. uh, I met Phil maybe 5 years ago in New York for coffee, and then it turned out that we spent most of the day together. And I told him about the Vermont Female Farmers Project. He loved the idea. He loved the project, um, and it was just like getting those mentoring and advice. It was just such an amazing way to kind of confirm of things that you're doing, and then their ideas and their point of view and things like that, that I just think that is so important to hear. I mean, and I always say that it's not just because I make a certain way doesn't make it right, but it's also a reassurance that, that someone sees it and say, oh yeah, absolutely, that is such a good idea, you should totally do it. The same thing with Maggie Stever, back in 2018 in Oaxaca, Mexico. For those that don't know Maggie Stever, she's just such a powerful female photographer that her vision is just so unique. And I remember telling her about Vermont female farmers, and that I wanted to get a camera that is not intrusive and that is not like big lens or anything. And she's like, oh, dude, you need to get. Can I say the name of the camera?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Okay. She said, you need to get a Leica Q2. This is just going to be a game changer. You are not going to be intrusive with the farmers. People will not even notice that you have a camera like on their face. And I did the entire project. I have thousands of images for this project, and it was all done with Q2. And it's just, she was just spot on. And I'm like, this is like the most worth investment that I've ever done. And then the same thing, there's also Tamara Merino, incredible photographer too. She did during the pandemic, she did like an intense workshop on storytelling. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not doing anything. Let me just jump on this. And it was only like 5 of us on this workshop. And she's such a powerhouse. I'll send you her information too. She is incredible. Really, really talented and great, feedback on your work and so forth. So lots of amazing. Maria Jose, she's from Mexico City. My gosh, like, love her work. The same thing.
Send me the names, because I would love to continue pushing these extremely talented people that some people may not even know who they are. And I think that would be amazing. I just love the community. I love building this. I love, meeting you, and then who knows, maybe I'll end up in Vermont and I'll call you up and be like, hey, guess what? I'm here for the portrait project. Get your butt out here.
Yeah, do it. And the funny thing, like like you said, like, I think it's so important, like, to get the artist behind the camera. Like, I hate my picture taken. Like, I don't want to be in front of the camera. Like, I'll stay behind it. But Phil took a picture of me that I love. Like, I'm like, dude, what? This is crazy. Love that picture. Another person, and he was on your show, Ryan Fire. I don't know. I always don't know how to say
Fear.
His last name. Yeah, Fear. Yes. And he's working on his American Dream. Insane work. His work is just unbelievable. Super talented. Brian Demby, have used like crazy street photography as well.
Yeah.
Like, his work is crazy. And recently I met Omar C. Robles. He's from Puerto Rico as well, in New York.
I reached out to him. He hasn't responded yet.
Oh, let me yell at him then. I literally was just talking to him yesterday, so I'm like, hey, get your ass on. Super talented too.
So there's a gentleman. I butcher his last name, so I'm not going to say it. His name's Ryan. He goes by Portrait Project 17 on Instagram. Fellow Leica shooter, but he captures the unhoused in Portland, Oregon. but with a
So
different
cool.
twist. He actually gets to know these people. And if you go through his feed, like they celebrate their birthdays, they bring birthday cakes,
That's so cool.
they bring them food, and they have these relationships to a point where one of the people they met on the streets, he's got a photography partner. Her name's Tara. She goes by Ghost Portland. One of the people they met on the streets wrote them a letter thanking them because it gave him the strength and inspiration to get off the streets. And now he's off the streets.
That's so
Like
wild.
such a crazy, and he's been represented, like he's been all over LFI recently with his pictures, and like he is such a humble dude. He's like, I don't even know what to talk about. Like, what am I talk? Like, I don't want to talk about myself, but his story is so important. And then another good person, if you want to look into, is Ben Tobin out of Spokane, Washington. He goes by Capturing Spokane. He does the same thing with the community there. Ben and I go way back. I think we met when we were 11 in Oregon, and
That's so cool.
we lost touch, and then we reconnected through Facebook like 10 years ago. And we both went from being avid BMX riders and skateboarders to photographers and pursuing this dream, you know. And so
That's so cool.
it's so neat to see people who achieve what they put out and what
big
they're
time.
doing. And I'm so grateful for your time, man. I think I just love getting to know people, and you've got a huge fan in me. And if I have the ability to make it where you are, or if you're traveling and I happen to be there, I would love to get you as part of this project.
I'd love to.
And the cool part is it's not going to be a serious portrait. It's going to be us being uncomfortable and funny and whatever it is, because none of us want to be in front of the camera.
That's so true. Oh my God, such a true statement.
Where's the best? I know you got a hard stop here in about 5 minutes. Where's the best place for people to find you?
Yeah, my website and Instagram. My website is JuanCasPhoto, JuanKas, F as in Frank, O, T as in Thomas, O.com. JuanCasPhoto.com. The same thing on Instagram. And then the project, if they want to learn more, is VermontFemaleFarmers.com.
Perfect. Man, it's been great. It's been a great conversation. Thank you for giving the show your time today. I look forward to following along and seeing this next chapter come to life. And maybe since you have your Leica thing happening in January, I'll make sure it's try to get this up beginning of January. And if you have links or anything for your show when you're doing it, send them over and I'll put them in the show notes. So maybe I can connect some other people to come and be there for your event and make it happen.
Thank you. No, that means a lot. And I personally want to thank you, because I think that I don't know, like if people realize how important these stories and segments are. I think that there is, for us as an artist, it is great way to tell our stories, but also what you're doing is just helping us amplify all these stories. And it's not just a podcast. It's just a huge movement that I don't think that many people, I don't know if, and I hope you realize that what you're doing is huge, and it's a huge movement for all of us in the industry. And I think that we are very, very thankful that you're doing this. So I personally want to thank you for this. This is huge and is greatly appreciated.
Oh, wow. Thank you. I just want to make sure that there's a platform for voices to be heard and stories to be shared, because it's not about the gear. It's about the story. It's about the journey. And the journey is what inspires people, or the journey is what should inspire people, not the brand of camera they shoot. Mm-hmm. And we all have those struggles. And, I opened up in earlier episodes about my trauma and my childhood, and I never quit. I'm here to help people if they're going through things, but I'm also here to share the amazingness that happens when you give 110% to your love of the craft.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And we're very lucky that you're here for us. So
I appreciate that.
Before I forget, speaking of brand, I have different brands throughout my career, and now using Leica, I have never seen a community as tight and as powerful in amplifying others. Like, they have shout out. They just did the whole 100 photographers. I was part of that 100 photographers for 2025. Like no one like does that, like go out of their way. And I think that is just so meaningful. Like the same thing that you're doing, they're doing it, right? Like it's just amplifying and giving the voices to all of us. They are just working our ass off to get our work out there and hopefully inspire others. Because I think that just because I have a Leica doesn't mean that I'm just bragging about, like, look at me, I have a Leica. I am hopefully inspiring others that because I did it, I hope you could also do it. Like anyone else can do it. So push through it.
Thank you for tuning in to the Life of Phys Podcast. I hope today's conversation brought you insight, inspiration, or just a fresh perspective on the creative journey. If you enjoyed the episode, be sure to follow, rate, and leave a review wherever you listen to podcasts. It really helps us grow and reach more listeners like you. For updates, behind-the-scene content, and more, please follow us on all social medias at LIFE_OF_PHYS. And don't forget to check out the show notes for links and resources from today's episode. Until next time, stay curious, stay creative, and keep living the life of creativity.